Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me. A few things that you can do to help the channel out. That is like, subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you can get updates, and please share the content. Donations can be made at paypal.me/morlogmorningdigest. Gonna jump right into the coronavirus update. Be warned, these numbers are all BS that are coming out of China. However, they are reporting 47,000 plus confirmed cases with 1,000 plus confirmed deaths. Now, very interestingly, China as well as Japan have changed the classification for you being confirmed to have the coronavirus. Apparently, testing positive is not enough for you to have the coronavirus anymore, according to these governments. Rather, you have to be displaying symptoms. Now, very interestingly, on top of this, I am wondering if they are using this same classification on the cruise ship that's docked off of Japan. And if they are, the implications are very, very dire, and it tells a very interesting story as far as the route they are planning on taking from this point forward. So if you're not familiar, there's 3,500 people on this boat. They put the people that were paying to be on this cruise ship under quarantine. They locked them in their rooms, they weren't letting them leave, etc., etc. Now, what they didn't tell these people is that the crew themselves were not under quarantine. They also didn't know at the time that the incubation period is now 24 days instead of 14. So what happened is one of the crew members started displaying symptoms. And that's when you got this huge uptick in cases. Now, they've tested 360 people, last I heard. And apparently, 160 plus of those people have tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, this leads me to believe that China and Japan have resigned to letting this thing run through the population of their country because they know quarantining it is impossible. And what this means is they are planning on letting this virus run its natural course until the population develops a herd immunization. Now, what this means is the death toll could be unforetold, especially in Japan because they have an aging population and because of the way that this thing seems to be targeting and hitting Asians a whole lot worse than it is their Western counterparts. Something else that we have to pay attention to with all of this is the fact that there has been reinfections reported. Now, what that means is there have been people that supposedly recovered from the initial virus only to be reinfected once again. Now, this, in my mind, means this virus is mutating at quite a fast rate, because the human body should have built antibodies to fight the original virus from the original infection. Now, this could also mean that this thing has been engineered to avoid antibodies being able to target it if it reinfects a second time around. But that ties into the whole conspiracy theory of this thing coming from the level 4 lab in Wuhan. We have to realize that the United States, i.e. California, has done a major fuck up. There was a case that was reported in San Diego where somebody went to the hospital, right? And they received all of the testing, and it came back negative. Now, the reason that it came back negative isn't because the test was wrong. It was because somebody in the lab mislabeled the test results. So, they released this person who's positive with the coronavirus back into the population of Southern California. I don't know how long this person was out in the population. However, they were. And from what we've seen, this thing is infecting at a very fast rate. So much so that there's reported cases where somebody has been in contact with a woman for as little as 15 seconds and contracted the virus. I want to stress, all of this coming forward from this point is my opinion and my opinion only. I am pretty sure that they are using the cruise ship as a case study for how this thing will burn through a population. Those people aren't getting off that cruise ship anytime soon. There's another cruise ship that's still out at sea. They don't have any reported cases on their ship. Supposedly, the manifest doesn't have anybody on it that was in China in the last 2 weeks. However, they have been denied entry into 5 ports, which is making me think that those ports from those countries know something that we don't. Otherwise, there's no reason they wouldn't let those people dock. I think that these cruise ships, like I said, are being used as a case study to see how this thing will burn through a population. I want everybody to know right now that 1 in 5 people, 18% of reported cases, and the real numbers most likely higher, are facing serious to critical complications from this. Anybody that's telling you that this is comparable to the common flu or comparable to SARS is lying to you, and that is propaganda. Like I said, I am pretty sure that the rest of the world, as far as the eastern countries, are resigned to letting this burn through their populations. Vietnam has gone to great lengths to set up multiple quarantine centers with thousands and thousands of beds in them. A country like Vietnam is not going to invest that kind of resources into quarantine centers unless they think the probability of needing them is higher than the probability of that disease not tearing through their population. Again, I think they are resigned to letting this virus burn through the population to build a herd mentality. This is my opinion. I'm not fear-mongering, but based on the numbers that I've seen and the models that are suggesting that the real infection rate may be above 600,000 right now, with a death rate of 6.5 to 7% on the good end, according to some of these models, tells me that there are potentially 100,000 people right now on their deathbed at a minimum. There's over 60 million people just in the Wuhan province itself. The province that Wuhan is in has 60 million people. If it's infected 600,000 people in that province based on the statistics in the model, that means that 100,000 people at 6% will die. And those are just based on the numbers that are being reported. And now, like I've said, you don't have to be testing positive. Just because you've tested positive doesn't mean you have this disease anymore. That means if you're asymptomatic, they are sending you back out into the population without being placed under quarantine, which means they are purposely sending carriers back into the population. Why are they doing this? Use the Socratic method and logic. Modest Tollins should tell you right now that their intention is to let this burn through the population. My opinion. Protect yourselves, your family. Buy non-perishable foods, lentils, rice. Don't buy just one stable grain. Nobody likes eating the same thing over and over and over again. The best you can do is protect yourself. Latex gloves, masks, disinfectant, hydrogen peroxide, bleach, etc. That's all you can do. It's out of our hands, like I've said 100 times. Do not panic. Panic will end up killing more people than the virus itself. That's my opinion once again. God bless. Have a nice day. I'll talk to you guys soon.